welcome back. If you're tuning in just audibly, you will not be seeing me, obviously. And I want you to know that today you're getting just me. It is just me coming at you today because I think there are two very important things that have happened this week that I really want to talk about, and two things that I personally have walked through. One of which on Tuesday, it was Mental Health Day, World Mental Health Day. And then this Sunday, it is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. In fact, the whole month of October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, but I feel like that's kind of been brushed under the rug. And this Sunday is the day we light a candle to remember those babies that we have lost in our bellies, as well as infants that have been lost. And I do not want this to be brushed under the rug whatsoever. I think both of these things are so important to be talked about, and I don't think mental health gets talked about enough while you're on the journey of infertility. And someone who's been through both of these things and has truly struggled, I want to openly share to let other women know that they aren't alone. So last year, I opened up and shared how I went through 2 months of the darkest days in my life, my entire life. It was last March and April. And it was around this time where we had just recently moved from DC, Northern Virginia area, to Texas. And in DC, that's where Steven and I dated. That's where we got engaged. That's where we got married. But we always knew we wanted to end up in Texas and buy a home in Texas. All my friends and family are here. And Steven and I both knew this is where we wanted to end up. So during this time last March, we bought a house and we were moving to Texas. And it was something I was so excited about and couldn't wait for, because when I lived in DC, it was pretty lonely. I moved there right around the pandemic happening, and before the pandemic happened, and was focused on my business. So I didn't really go out and meet many friends. And then the pandemic happened, and obviously we were stuck in our homes. I went through a miscarriage, and all I had was Steven and his family. And it's just very different than your own family and having your friends around you. So I couldn't wait to move to Texas. And at this time, when we bought a home, our very first home, and we're moving to Texas, I was like excited. And then all of a sudden, when we got here, I started to feel really numb to everything. I couldn't get excited about anything. I was confused why I was feeling this way. And I didn't like it. It was also around this time I found a new doctor and we started a new protocol. And doctor is absolutely incredible. Like, when I say God did his finest work there, like, for us to get connected, like, I wasn't even going to go see her. I was going to see another doctor, which I haven't heard the best reviews over. So thank God that didn't work out. And it truly was like God providing this doctor for me to help us get closer to our babies. And we started a new protocol, and I got on letrozole for the very first time. Now, I had tried other ovulation-inducing medications before, but never letrozole. And, a lot of doctors nowadays, especially if you're someone with endometriosis, prefer you to go on letrozole rather than Clomid. And I'd never been on Clomid either. So in my head, I was like, okay, this is the best drug for me. Like, my doctor knows what she's doing. This is incredible, right? And, they gave you the list of the physical side effects that could happen: hot flashes, headaches, migraines, cramping, sore boobs, all these things, right? But no one talked to me about the mental side effects. And even online, for all the women that I followed, I never really heard of the mental side effects of these medications. And all of a sudden, I found myself in one of the darkest places I've ever been in my entire life. And it was very scary. And I'm someone that when I'm walking through a really hard time, I have a hard time processing it while I'm going through it. And, we had just moved. I didn't have a new therapist yet. My mental health was deteriorating, but I was like, aren't I supposed to be excited? Like, I feel like we're getting answers. We found out that I had endometritis. That's different than endometriosis. We found out that I had endometritis. I was going to take antibiotics. We thought this could be it. This was like preventing an embryo from implanting. We were like, oh my gosh, this is going to be it. This is our answer. And all of a sudden, like, I took the antibiotics, it wasn't working. I was on letrozole. My body still wasn't ovulating. Like, it was super frustrating. And my mental health was horrible. I was having the darkest thoughts I've ever had in my entire life. My entire life. And, I've dealt with situational depression and anxiety before. I'm not someone who has it all the time. And for those of you that do, my heart goes out to you. Please know I'm praying for you, because after going through situational depression and anxiety, I have so much empathy for you. And I just remember it was April. And first thing, I mean, I was like dealing with these dark thoughts on my own, but I was also so confused because I was like, I have so much to be grateful for right now, and like so many things that I've prayed for that I wanted in my life, to be able to buy a home in Texas, be around my friends and family again, like to have the love of my life with me, like be married. Like I was like, I've prayed for these things. I'm living in a prayer I used to pray, yet I'm sitting here like not wanting to be here anymore. And I didn't understand why. And I'm always also someone who I'm always like, I'll fix it myself. I'll figure it out myself. I can do it. Like, I don't want this burden to be on anyone else. And my husband sat from the sidelines and saw me really struggling, and he offered to help, and he did help. Like, there were a lot of tasks, like simple tasks I couldn't do because I was just so anxious and depressed. Like, the thought of doing the dishes overwhelmed me so much, I would break down and cry. And so he kind of stepped up and started doing a lot of the household chores and kind of keeping everything together. He did a lot of like the shopping for groceries and furniture and things like that, when like I couldn't make decisions. I couldn't show up in that capacity. And I remember we went on a walk one day and he was like, you need to find a therapist. It's time you find a therapist here. And I was like, well, I've been looking and I haven't been able to find anyone. He's like, okay, let me help you. So we would go on Psychology Today and, type in pregnancy loss, infertility, because I do think it's super important to find a therapist that specializes in what you're going through or has experienced themselves. And I just couldn't find someone that would take our insurance. I couldn't find someone that like lived like semi near to us, or their office was semi near to us. I couldn't find someone who I felt like was a good match. And so I would just get overwhelmed, exhausted, and I would like stop doing it. So Steven stepped up and really helped there. And I remember it was Easter, and we went over to my parents for Easter brunch, and my brother, him and his wife walked through some infertility, and they went through chemical losses, miscarriage, and a year of infertility themselves. Just recently got pregnant with letrozole. And so they were super hopeful and excited for us, as I was on letrozole at this time. And I remember it was just my brother and I at our dining room table. Everyone else was still dishing up in the kitchen. And he sat down and he looked at me. He's like, hey, are you okay? And I mean, he was pretty in tune with like, how his wife did on letrozole. She didn't have the dark thoughts by any means, but like definitely felt some of the physical side effects. So he was like, hey, like, how are you doing on it? Are you okay? And it took everything inside of me not to cry and cry out for help in that moment. And it makes me emotional to this day, because I wish I could go back and hug that version of me, because she was struggling so much, but she felt like she had to just keep going. She felt like she couldn't let it out. She didn't even know what was going on, but she felt like she would figure it out and she would move forward. Other people have. She didn't want to be a burden. And I remember I just like looked down and kind of started eating, and I was like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. And the conversation moved on. More people came and sat at the table. And I remember I was blinking like so much because my eyes were beginning to water, and I didn't want to start crying in front of everyone, but I was so emotional as well. And I was hurting so much. And my sister was like, why are you blinking like that? Is something in your eye? And I was like, yeah, something's in my eye. And during this brunch, as we're so excited for my brother and sister-in-law, like I'm struggling so much that I don't want to be here anymore, like in this world. And I'm struggling because I'm unable to make my husband a father. And I'm struggling because I should be so happy and grateful and joyous right now. And I am just in the darkest place I've ever been. I remember I had to remove myself and go to the bathroom and cry like 3 or 4 times during this brunch. And then shortly after that, we found out we weren't pregnant that cycle. And then the next cycle, we did letrozole again. So I did letrozole a total of 2 cycles, and we were going to do it a total of 3 cycles. And I remember when that second cycle, I was like, I can't do this for another cycle. I can't do it, but I have to, but I have to, but I can't do it, but I have to. But what if that's the cycle? What if that's the one? I was like, but I can't, but I can't. And I was struggling so much. I mean, I was struggling to do everyday tasks. I was struggling in work. I was struggling to show up for myself, my husband, even in our infertility journey. And I remember I was in the shower and I was crying pretty audibly. Like, it was loud. I was used to, crying in the car when the shower's running and kind of making it quiet and keeping it to myself. Or, when my husband's asleep, I would cry in the bed, not because he wouldn't comfort me or didn't want to be there for me or anything like that. It was simply because I didn't want to put this burden on anyone else. I thought, again, it was just situational. We would move past this. We'd move forward. And it was so bad that I remember I was in the shower and audibly crying. And I remember trying to tell myself hey, keep it down, keep it down, keep it down. Like, Steven's in the kitchen and he can hear. And he walked back there and I walked out of the shower. Didn't know he was in the bathroom, walked out of the shower and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I remember just looking at him and bawling and being like, "I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be here anymore." And he immediately was like, "We're getting you off letrozole right now. Like, you're not going to be on this anymore." This was the tail end of the second cycle. I was beginning to spot, which that generally meant I wasn't pregnant. That has happened ever since my miscarriage. Actually, it happened from my miscarriage up until my laparoscopic surgeries. And we now do believe it was from endometriosis, but I would have this dark spotting anywhere from 4 days before my period would happen up to 10 days before my period would happen. And I always knew I was out that cycle when that would happen. I always was like, okay, I'm not pregnant. And that was beginning to happen. So that obviously had an impact too. But I never thought when these 2 months when I was on letrozole that I was struggling so much with those thoughts because of letrozole. I didn't think it was because of a medication. I simply thought it was because I was really struggling in our trying to conceive journey and my mental health was deteriorating because of it. And if that is you, know that your feelings are valid. That is okay. But I want you to get help if that is you, okay? But your feelings are valid. There have been studies that have been done that have compared women going through infertility having as much of an impact, emotional, physical, mental impact as women that are diagnosed with cancer. No one would ever tell someone with cancer to just relax. No one would ever tell someone with cancer they just need to drink and it'll go away. No one would ever tell someone with cancer what they should or shouldn't do to heal them, to help them. Yet, us women with infertility, we are constantly being told what we should and shouldn't do. We are constantly being given unsolicited advice. We are constantly being told that you need to just relax, you need to go on vacation, you need to have a drink. Like, these things are not helpful at all. And quite frankly, they aren't true. Okay, so please stop telling this to women who are struggling to conceive. But your feelings are valid. And I never thought, going through these 2 months, I just didn't put 2 and 2 together. Oh, maybe this could be the letrozole, because I had been on medication similar to letrozole before and never felt this way. No one told me the mental impacts letrozole could make on me. So Steven then at that time was like, "We're telling your doctor you're done with letrozole. We're not doing a third cycle," because I was about to embark on the third cycle. And he was like, "And we are getting you in therapy this week." Sat down, found a therapist who's a therapist we now see now. He's absolutely incredible. And then my doctor was like, "Oh my gosh, we're getting you off this medication immediately. Why haven't you said anything?" And I was like, "Because I didn't know it was the medication." And she was like, "Some women do have really bad mental side effects with this." And she's like, "You just never know. And I'm so sorry you went through this." And again, that was very validating too. Because again, I felt really alone. I was like, am I the only one that feels this way? Why is this happening to me? What the heck is going on? And it was such a dark, dark, dark place. And then all of a sudden it was within that next few days, I would say the next 2 weeks, I felt like myself again. I felt like I had my whole old brain back. I felt like excited. I felt, true excitement again. I felt like I wanted to be here. I felt hope. It was the wildest thing. It was truly the wildest thing. And it breaks my heart that so many of us struggle in these dark, dark places. And I have opened up this week on social media about it and the messages I've received from women. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages from women telling me either they've felt that way or they are feeling that way. And sister, if you are feeling that way, number one, see if any medications are making you feel that way. Lots of medications can. So I would first look at those. If you haven't really changed medications in a long time or you're not on medications, I would really then look at your mental health and take a break. It's so needed. Your future baby needs a strong, healthy physical mother just as much she needs a strong and healthy mental mother. I want you to remember that. And every time I've taken breaks on the journey, of course, in the back of my head, I'm like, maybe that was going to be the month. Like, I don't want to take a break. I don't want to have to do this. But I'm so grateful that I did because whenever we decided to try again, maybe it was 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever that looks like, I was more hopeful. I was more excited. It's like I got back to like my old self where I was like, woo, like sex is fun again, like it's so important. Like rekindle that flame with your partner and then come back a stronger, better version of yourself and for your future babies. Ask for help. Please, 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 please ask for help. Please. It is so important. I didn't, and I wish I would have. Find the people you can confide in. Some people you're going to be able to be like, I can confide in you on this journey. And some people you're going to be like, you're going to be my friend and not the one that I confided in this journey. I've had friends who I thought would, handle what we're going through very differently and they haven't, and that's okay. They're in different stages of life. It's not something that's on their radar, and that's okay. But, don't be afraid to open up to people. I know a lot of us are afraid because we don't want to be a burden. We don't want to hear the unsolicited advice. We don't want someone to abandon us and think that we're too much, but you'd be so surprised of the friends in your life and the people in your life that are going to step up and want to be there for you. And having those few people, you don't need a bunch, just a few, one or two even in your life that are going to be there for you and want to help you along this journey. It will carry you through on the darkest days. Finding a therapist that has helped me significantly after my legit mental breakdown. I started going to therapy weekly and it helped me tremendously. But finding a good therapist, just like a good doctor, find someone that you connect with, find someone that's going to advocate for you, find someone that has experience with what you're going through. If you're with someone you are not feeling, sees you, hears you, is advocating for you, please, please, please stop wasting your time. Time is so precious while on the journey of trying to conceive. So please stop wasting your time and let's find someone that is, and if you need help, ask your partner to help you. Steven was such a help during this time for me, and it was so necessary that I leaned on him in so many things. Exercise, like controlling the controllables, so much of infertility is out of our control and it's really hard on us. And controlling the controllables has been so helpful and healthy for me. So like exercising, nutrition, avoiding my food sensitivities that are causing inflammation in my body, continuing to advocate for myself to find answers or for whatever you may want to do, whether it's, moving forward in your journey, taking a break, taking a bold step forward, taking a bold step back, whatever that may look like. Advocate for yourself. Getting enough sleep, so important, you guys. Please get enough sleep every single night. Managing your stress. Now that may look like a lot of different things. Fertility acupuncture has helped me a lot with stress. It's like the most relaxed I'll ever feel in my entire life. Exercise, whether it's a walk around the block or it's an intense workout in the gym, like whatever it may be, like that helps me so much with stress as well. So make sure you're managing these, but like more than anything, like please, please, please ask for help. Please. So whether this is medication induced or not, ask for help. I wish I could go back and have my old self, like tell my old self to ask for help sooner. because I got to a very dark, scary place I never, ever, ever want to go back to. And I think that could have been avoidable if I spoke up sooner. So ask for help. You are worthy. Your feelings are valid. And I hope that you're not afraid to ask for help, because you may think like you're going to get brushed off. People won't take you seriously. Like, please, if you want to reach out to me, my DMs are always open. I'm always here to chat, sister. The last thing I want to touch on here is how this Sunday is Infant and Pregnancy Loss Awareness Day, where we light a candle. If you have gone through loss, I just want you to know my heart is with you. And I'm so sorry. I will be honoring your babies on Sunday as well as every day. We will be honoring our lost baby as well. And I hope you know that no matter if you were 4 weeks along or you lost an infant, your child matters. Okay. You are a mama, and we need to let that baby live on. Okay. So, oh, sister, you're not alone. You are not alone on this journey. Please know that your feelings are valid, what you are going through. Infertility, trying to conceive after loss, pregnancy after loss, these things are so hard. Motherhood after loss. Like, I haven't walked through it myself, but I know. And I have heard stories that these things are so hard. And I just want you to know that your feelings are so valid. We want you here in this world. You mean so much to this world, and your future babies need you. Keep fighting the good fight. Please get help if you need it. There is a saying that I love to see. It like brings joy to my heart every time I see it. It makes me cry. But it says, it's like this little saying that says, you know how parents always sit there and like point out their kids and brag about them and tell them how incredible they are to other parents? Imagine our babies that have passed and are now in heaven looking down on us in heaven and bragging and pointing us out to those other babies and telling them how proud they are of their mom and dad, that they keep fighting, they keep going, and that they're there. But just know, keep fighting still means to give yourself a break, to give yourself grace. Okay. I don't care who you are, how strong you are. This journey will break you. But I hope, I hope you know that you are worthy and that it's only going to make us stronger, better people as we move forward. I know for a fact the mom I will be because of going through infertility is going to be so much of a better mom I would have been if I never walked through infertility. I'm also very grateful for infertility because it's brought me so much closer to God. And that is a piece I just can't explain. The peace I have because of God, like I can't logically explain why I feel peace, why I truly do believe I will be able to, have life in my womb and give birth when, so many people around me are like, how have you not given up? Like, how are you continuing to go? Like, maybe it's time to just move on. And I'm like, I know one day, one way or another, we're going to be able to. So, sister, know that you are worthy. Know that your feelings are so valid, and please, please, please ask for help. Okay. I will be honoring all the lost babies this Sunday and every day moving forward. And I hope you do as well. And I hope you know that, again, no matter how far along you are a mama, and we're going to get there. We're going to be able to get there. And again, your mental health is so important along this journey. All right, guys, thank you for being here with me today, and I will see you next time. Bye.